Complete Caribbean, and I'm here today to tell you about the cluster methodology that we do at Complete Caribbean. I only have 10 minutes, so I hope it's better. I only have 10 minutes, so I hope I can leave you with a flavor of what the cluster methodology is. If you are one of our donors, you've probably heard about this many times, but you can learn a little bit more of in detail of what we do. If you are one of our IDB colleagues, you get to know more about what we do in your country. And if you are from a different organization or investor, you can see some investment opportunities. So these are the key messages today. The first key message is to present clusters as strategic instruments that can really transform Caribbean economy. Then I'm going to talk about why clusters matter in the Caribbean. We see a lot of fragmentation in the Caribbean, so clusters can help bring communities together, as Anton was mentioning. Also presenting cluster as ecosystem level interventions, not only to support firms, but also public institutions and everyone on the value chains, because we have realized that we all share the same constraints, which therefore means that we have shared opportunities as well. And then I'm going to present an example of one of our clusters, which is the Jamaica cluster. All right, so cluster methodology. What is a cluster? So a cluster is defined as geographical concentrations of interconnected enterprises and associated institutions, such as business associations, service providers, and academic institutions facing common challenges and opportunities, as I was saying. On the right side of the screen, you can see all the actors of a given value chain. And the cluster methodology not only support the firms at the bottom of the cluster, but anyone being part of this value chain. This is an example, for example, if we think about cluster of fishermen in Guyana, for example. So obviously the firms and producers will be small businesses and small distributors. Then we have business associations, in this case can be fishing cooperative, supporting institutions like, for example, FAO or ICA, we work along with them in the Caribbean. Government and public agencies, in this case will be Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, very important to have the buy-in of the government for everything we do. And then research and knowledge, this could be the Google, for example. And why they are relevant to the Caribbean? As Anton was saying, the Caribbean's economy are small and they are highly exposed to external shocks. We all know that the European season is unfortunately upon us, so climate change, but also like the volatility of the markets. We know how a war 10,000 kilometers away can impact the prices of our products, so that's very important as well. Then again, create platforms for collective action. Everything is better and we can do it more if we do it together rather than fragmented. Then very important for investment, create sectors more visible and incredible for investors to put their money in. And again, transform fragmentation into coordination. So where do clusters sit at Complete Caribbean? And we've talked about this already and you are familiar with this. We've said already that Complete Caribbean Plus is the third iteration of Complete Caribbean. We have three pillars of work. The first pillar, we support the private sector directly. On the second pillar, we support the government on their support to the private sector. And then the third pillar, this is a new pillar we have at Complete, where we want to find links between the private sector and academia. So the cluster methodology, as you can see on the red text, sits under the first pillar. And we do the support to clusters through technical assistance. Technical assistance is running from $200,000 to $350,000. But also the clusters themselves, they also contribute with some finances, up to 10%, 20% of the technical assistance in cash and in kind contribution. And this is very important as well because with our technical assistance, we cannot fund capital goods. So if there is equipment that the cluster needs, this can be purchased with this in cash contribution. And obviously, as we've said repeatedly, we couldn't do this with our donors, the CDB and the governments of the UK and Canada. All right, so this is just an example of one of the clusters. The Jamaica cluster was formed From 11 of the 12 industrial green bond quota holders in Jamaica, it started with only 4 and finished with 11. On the right side of the screen, you see the logo of the cluster. And they all face the same challenge. After a 2-year ban that the government imposed on the fishing of corn in Jamaica, they had challenge on exporting growth constrained by production limits and high costs, limited access to new markets, and long-term sustainability of corn. For that, they came together and recognized a shared strategy to overcome these challenges. The strategy had focused in 3 pillars. One was achieving internationally recognized standards. You see on the right side of the screen the MSC certified logo. You probably saw that in some of the products that you buy. And then developing value-added products to increase their revenue without increasing the extraction of corn. And then new marketing and business development plans. Again, as I said, this cluster model came from competition to collaboration. These 11 firms together were able to achieve certifications, traceability, and market development because they were operating together rather than fighting. So it's a collective approach that allowed the sector to overcome all these challenges. So at the bottom, you see the main achievements were 2 globally recognized standards. One is sustainability, and the other one is traceability. The one is sustainability. Jamaica was the first country in the world to obtain MSC certified green corn industry, position Jamaica as a global leader on corn distribution. And then equally important on traceability, the MSC chain of custody certification that certified that all the corn that is attached to the cluster, you can trace it, right? And differentiate it with the corn that is not traceable, which is very important for consumers in other countries outside of the region. Other achievements was the commercialization of value-added corn products. You can see on the corner of the screen, that's a conserva of corn that the cluster created. And on the picture, you see the cluster manager and the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries in Jamaica, who was the first one that tried the conserva and was with this. And this picture is very significant as well because it shows the support from the government to the cluster, which, as we said, is always key for competing. And then to distribute this conserva and the rest of the products, they needed a new strategic marketing plan and a business development plan to be able to export outside of the traditional Caribbean market to Canada and countries in the European Union, which, as I said, have consumer that sustainability conscious more than in other parts of the world. So the Jamaica Corn Cluster model, as again, because to achieve the certifications, it's impossible to go in silos. They have to go together. There is no other way. It helped to strengthen the dialogue between the private sector and the government for future policy and legislative review. And it's a proof that modest technical assistance resource can have a catalytic impact in Caribbean's economies. And then, more importantly, for investors, it reduced their risk. So they sign organization, governance, traceability, and a clear commercialization pathway. So in sum, the Jamaica Corn Cluster is not just a successful story, but it's a model that can be replicated in other countries and sectors of the region. So what are we doing at Compete, past, present, and future of the cluster? What have we done? Thanks again to our donors since the first iteration of Compete starting in 2012. We have supported more than 25 clusters in 13 countries in the region. All the countries you see at the bottom, from Antigua and Barbuda to Trinidad and Tobago. What we are currently doing, we have 5 new clusters that we have started supporting now. 2 in Jamaica, 1 in mariculture and 1 in mushrooms. 1 to support rice farmers in Guyana. 1 to support sour salt in Grenada. 1 to support the link between private sector and hotels in Barbados. So these are the 5 countries that are the 5 clusters that are kicking off as we speak. And what is coming is more support and more cluster or more of the same. So we currently have 2 open calls. One to support an additional cluster in traditional sectors in the OECD countries, I'm the least because those were the underrepresented countries in the first goal, so we want to get more out of them. And then we are trying something new, which is an open goal for a cluster in innovation. So let's see how that goes. And then this is very important as well. We are developing something called Meridian Cluster Toolkit in partnership with UNIDO, which is a well-recognized organization supporting cluster, because after reviewing the literature, we haven't found anything specific to the agreement. So we're developing a toolkit that cluster manager or cluster members can follow when they want to form a cluster. It's very intuitive. It's gonna go out soon, and I think it's a very, very good tool to have. And then we are having conversations with partners and investors for additional funding. If you ask me where I want to be in 5 years, I want to see more clusters, more donors, and more funding for this. So yeah, and then the next slide. This is very representative. This is not all the clusters we know, but just some examples. So you can see how the possibilities are endless. We're talking about replicating models from one country to another. So you can see, for example, the Belize Smart Sugar Cluster, clusters in Jamaica, in Dominica, in Grenada, in Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, Barbados, St. Lucia. Possibilities and so we're replicating some of these models in other countries. Alright, so to finish, the key takeaways: cluster is a tool, it's a proven tool that can really be a change maker in the Caribbean, can transform the way we support the private sector. My second key takeaway is that Compete is ready to implement. We are ready to continue doing more of this, and we have the institutional experience and the knowledge to do this. We are a reliable partner. And as I said, the last takeaway is that cluster methodology is a clear opportunity for further investment, further contribution for donors, and we are happy to increase the Compete Caribbean family with this. And then that's it. I hope I didn't take more than 10 minutes. Thank you very much. That's my contact details, and also my colleague Dario Pal. He's the Pillar 1 coordinator in charge of all the classes, and I leave you with a beautiful picture of what I think is the Tobago piece in